This made the rounds online. This blew up about an NES Zapper inspired Glock.
I don't know that I'd call it inspired. It said Nintendo Zapper right on the side.
And it's inspired. Yeah, it's inspired from
sure.
it. So a Glock's a handgun. It's a popular handgun. It's used by most law enforcement nowadays. They're pretty, pretty easy to clean, and they don't usually misfire, et cetera, et cetera. It's a tried and true company. So this Texas-based company called Precision Syndicate went out and took a Glock and colored it like a Zapper. Dark gray on the handle, on the trigger guard, and then the lighter gray cream on the slide. Then even put Nintendo Zapper with the same font on the side in red. And it made the way around, and then there was a ton of backlash. I don't think Nintendo came out and said anything directly. They probably would want to keep their mouth shut when it comes to this stuff, because I don't know what they're going to do. It's obviously they weren't going to sell this en masse. It was just a one-off they made. But it's sort of the intersection of video games and maybe people discussing guns and debating guns and owning and the Second Amendment.
I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people here by saying that I'm fairly ambivalent about this, and I don't really have a very strong opinion either way. I think that it might lack a little taste in mimicking a toy gun that had its color changed so that it wouldn't be mistaken for a real gun. That said, it looks pretty neat. I don't even like guns. By the way, did you know that there's a huge Glock customization market? I had a shopper who came into the store one day and left a magazine behind on the counter when he left. It was like the size of a fucking Bible, and I picked it up, and it's all custom Glock parts. And
oh, really?
Yeah, it's insane. Apparently, Glock modding is massive.
Oh, gun modding's been.
I'm just saying, like specifically the Glock,
maybe because it's easy to swap the parts out.
Possibly. That said, I do think it looked pretty cool. Like I said, I don't particularly care for guns. I don't need to own one. Obviously, if this was something that they would ever sell to someone, besides being a one-off piece for one person, that would be a fucking tasteless nightmare. But that's not what this is. And I'm not going to get into my views on guns or gun control. I'm just not going to talk about it on here. But in this one instance, I think that perhaps the situation was blown out of proportion.
Literally. So they said in a statement, in light of the Nintendo Glock drama, we feel that the media and our fans need to know that this firearm will not be mass-produced, nor will it ever be.
Right.
Because if they did, Nintendo then would sue the shit out of them, of course.
Well, in a loss, I mean, even if it didn't say Nintendo on it, if they made it purposely look like a toy,
that's illegal. First of all.
Yes, it's illegal.
You can't do that. Yeah. In the U.S. Of course, you can always do a 3D printed gun if you want and add parts and do it, but you can't sell guns in blue like neon green colors like real handguns. That's for toy guns. Those laws started going into effect early 90s.
Right.
Man, do I miss those toy guns that looked real when I was a kid.
Those
Uzis that looked real.
Oh yeah.
I had a Rambo cap gun. Remember those toy sets you'd get like in the
they had like a bandana and a gun and a bow and arrow.
So the Rambo set had the compass.
Mm-hmm.
You got like the plastic knife. You got a few other pieces. Then the gun and holster looked real. It was like an old Colt style black with a brown grip. Holy shit, it looked real. It was one of the best toy guns I ever had as a kid or so, and it had a nice when you fire it, like little sound effect in it.
I had a black motorized water gun Uzi where when you held it down, you put batteries in the bottom.
I knew someone had that.
And you held it down, and it just you just held down, and it rapid fired the shot.
I knew someone who had that.
And boy, that would not fly today, and that was probably dangerous to own in certain places. But
no one got hurt except for those few dozen kids that got shot. By cops. But I just think it's interesting that. Now, this is totally off topic, that, you go walk into a store and you'd have that nice, 2.5 foot thing, like, here's your police kit. Get your toy handcuffs, your cap gun, revolver, get your hat and your badge and your nightstick all in one $4.99 package at the deli store. Like the deli would have it. The deli.
I specifically remember having one as a kid, and it made no sense. I had a Spider-Man one. It came with a set of Spider-Man binoculars, a Spider-Man compass, and a Spider-Man bow and arrow. Because Spider-Man never used any of that shit.
But the whole point is they were cheap toys that your aunt would get for you because it goes, oh, it's like $4
and it had
in 1988.
It had some fun branding on it. You'd use it for one like babysitting session, like when your aunt or your grandma's watching you. They all break within 3 hours, and then you go home.
So what we're saying is somehow is that this is not a huge deal if it's a one-off, and it actually looks like well done for what it is. Regardless of whether or not you agree with people owning handguns, I think it's cool looking.
Right. If you just look at this as a specific instance, you don't get politics or anything into it, I really just don't think this is as big of a deal.
I'm sure the comment section will be very civil in talking about
Second absolutely.
Amendment and gun owning rights.
Even though you and I were very, very middle of the road here and very reasoned on this, I'm sure this will be amusing.
I didn't even say whether or not I agree with anything.
No, neither did I. I didn't say shit.
That's going to be for Pat's political podcast coming soon, the Triple P podcast.
Oh, God.
Triple P podcast.